Hey, it's been a while. Welcome back to my channel. I don't know if you can hear that wind, but we're outside today. So I wanted to talk about ants because I recently discovered some really big ant hills in my yard, hand for comparison, and I was just really curious, so I started researching them. And now I'm here to teach you guys about them. I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance because it's windy. It's been windy these last few days, and my voice might sound a little off. I've been dealing with allergies because, seasons changing and all. So let's learn about ants. I've always had a natural interest in ants ever since I was a kid because they always managed to find their way in. So I always just found it incredibly intriguing to just watch them do their thing, just being ants. But now, after the research I've done, I've been able to figure out why ants do what they do. So let's first look into just what are ants. So obviously the little bugs. The ants you would most likely, if you live in North America, the ants you see at home are most likely they've been called the odorous house ants, because when you squish them, apparently they smell really bad. I never really understood that, but okay. But yeah, they're called odorous house ants, and they're very common, that you see them everywhere. Most of the ants you see are females. All the worker ants are females. The male ants are the ones that usually stay inside the colony, and they have wings to show as like a sign of maturity for reproduction. They also have the wings for when, as I'll explain later, when ant hills reach their capacity, the male ants will go out and find other queens to mate with and start their own colonies elsewhere. Alright, so ants communicate primarily through pheromones, which are basically chemical signals that they send out to other ants that each pheromone will mean a certain thing. So you'll see ants when they're going to food, they'll be walking in two trails, because one goes to find food, says, "Oh my gosh, there's food here. I'm going to leave a pheromone that says there's food here as I'm going back." So ants will follow that pheromone trail, and it gets stronger over time, but then as the food supply dwindles, it gets weaker each time as they go back. And as they're walking back and forth, you kind of see that exchange going on of information through, sometimes it's like touch, but it's primarily through pheromones. So ants also have two stomachs. One is for themselves, and one is to feed their buddies, which I think is so adorable for some reason. They also are very social creatures, and so, as we can see, build really big anthills. Most of these are quite large, as in there's a video I'm going to link, and it shows that these underground networks are ridiculously large. It's like one anthill can be the size of probably a house buried underground, and they can still get bigger, which is incredibly, it's awesome, it's insane, it's scary. So yeah, for all I know, I could be sitting on top of an incredibly just complicated anthill system right now. Hope I don't fall through. That would suck. Alright, let's talk about queen ants. So the queen's purpose is mostly to lay eggs, and the male ant's purpose is mostly to make babies with the queen ant. So she's laying eggs all day, all night, and they can live for 30 years. So picture this tiny little thing, 30 years. I mean, that's an accomplishment for an ant. So they can live up to 30 years, and they're being cared for this entire time by their worker daughters that feed her it's a special type of food that makes her grow that way and act that way, which, good for her. So, as I touched on before, when anthills reach their capacity, so some queen ants young queens will be sent out to start their own colonies. And this is where the wings come in handy, because the young queens are flying, and so are the rogue, rogue males are flying out, and they're looking for someone to mix with and to start their own colony. So the queen is on her own for a while, just laying her eggs, caring for her babies, and then they will hatch, and then she builds her own colony from scratch, which is incredibly brave of her. Alright, let's talk about ants in agriculture. So, ants farm these little creature things called aphids because they produce honeydew, which ants really like. So, they control these little aphids to do what they want by using pheromones to essentially put a spell on them, which is pretty metal. So yeah, touching on how ants are metal, they will sometimes just go straight, wage war on each other's anthills, and so they will raid a neighbor and just steal their babies and make them into slaves, which, okay. So yeah, and then of course, ant zombies. So there are certain... Fly. Scoot, go away. Alright, whatever, fine, you can stay. There are certain fungi and other parasites that can control ants and make them do things they don't exactly want to do. We would call them ant zombies, as my teacher so delightfully explained to me the other day. So yeah, on that happy little note, I am going to bring this to a close. I had a lot of fun doing the research for this video. I really liked sitting outside, and the wind could have cooperated a little bit better, but it is what it is. So yeah, if you guys want me to make another video outside talking about something nature related, I can maybe take our normal history related videos outside too, if that's what you guys want to see. So yeah, leave me a comment, tell me what you want to see. If you liked it, give me a like, and if you really like me for some reason, maybe consider subscribing, and if you don't, that's great. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. Have a great day. Bye bye.